Welcome to Module 15, Rhetoric and Policy of Westward Expansion. In this module, we'll consider how and why Americans pushed past the Appalachian Mountains and the boundary line established by the British Proclamation of 1763 in the early years of the Republic. We'll start by examining George Washington's Savage as the Wolf policy, which lays out American sentiments surrounding Native people and Americans' sense of entitlement to Native land. We'll explore the violence between American settlers and Native people in the contested Ohio Country and the Pan-Native Confederacy of a large contingent of nations who came together to prevent American advancement into the region. How did the United States perceive this confederacy, which put up an effective military resistance to American settlers, causing one of the greatest defeats the U.S. Army had ever suffered at the hands of Native enemies? How was the Confederacy able to stave off American encroachment, and for how long? We'll then turn to the Louisiana Purchase and complicate the way this transaction is usually framed as the greatest real estate deal in American history. The Louisiana Purchase was not a purchase of actual land, but rather the imperial rights to the land, almost all of which was still owned, occupied, and ruled by Native people. It would take more than 150 years, hundreds of treaties, and billions of dollars to extinguish Native title to that land. In Part 2, we'll look in detail at the Lewis and Clark expedition, specifically examining Sacagawea, the Shoshone guide and interpreter who accompanied the expedition party on their journey. In this module, we'll ask questions about historical memory and interrogate the ways in which we consider Native people in the history of the early American Republic. In the required readings for this module, you'll read how Washington framed and justified his Savage as the Wolf policy, and read a historian's critique of the common narrative of the Louisiana Purchase. This critique appeared in an article published in Slate and contains an interesting interactive map I encourage you to play around with. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts about this topic. Good luck with Module 15.